Elon Musk is a bit of a brilliant guy. He's actually the only person that has ever started in the US two different companies that have a valuation over $1 billion. Now, he started more companies than that, and they're all successful, but two of them went over $1 billion. So the guy kind of knows what he's doing. Now, Tesla's been fairly successful. That's one of his larger companies, obviously. But he decided that he was going to do a bold move anyway and say, look, I have all these patents that make the Tesla so interesting to people. That's why they're buying it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to release them. That's kind of amazing. So he wrote an op-ed explaining why. Let's go through that. He said, Tesla Motors was created to accelerate the advent of sustainable transport. If we clear a path to the creation of compelling electric vehicles, but then lay intellectual property landmines behind us to inhibit others, we are acting in a manner contrary to that goal. Tesla will not initiate patent lawsuits against anyone who in good faith wants to use our technology. He's saying, look, we created this technology. Yes, I'm profiting off of it, and we'd like to profit more. Of course, they're capitalists. They believe in that, right? But he's saying at the same time, part of the point was to get us off the fossil fuels to help the world. And if people are not following in our footsteps as we thought they were going to, well, we got to fix that. Now, he also has his own self-interest here, which I'm going to get to in a second, but that's a great move for the world. So he continues. We felt compelled to create patents out of concern that the big car companies would copy our technology and then use their massive manufacturing, sales, and marketing power to overwhelm Tesla. The unfortunate reality is the opposite. Electric programs or programs for any vehicles that doesn't burn hydrocarbons at the major manufacturers are small to non-existent, constituting an average of far less than 1% of their total vehicle sales. So he's saying, look, man, we thought, oh my God, we got to compete with these other electric cars that are going to come out. Turns out they didn't even bother trying to compete with us. And that's not where the competition is. So by all means, have the patents. Let's get some real competition because we need more electric cars. We got to switch away from fossil fuels. All right. Of course, he also needs more charging stations throughout the country. And the more electric cars there are and the more companies that follow him, the more charging stations there'll be. So look, he's obviously an incredibly bright guy. He's not just doing it out of the goodness of his heart, but you can do the right thing and then get good results for yourself at the same time. And if you do that, bless your heart. So he continues to explain. When I started out with my first company, Zip2, I thought patents were a good thing and worked hard to obtain them. And maybe they were good long ago, but too often these days they serve merely to stifle progress, entrench the positions of giant corporations, and enrich those in the legal profession rather than the actual inventors. So that's really interesting because we talk about the drug companies all the time. We know you have to invest a lot of money to create these interesting drugs, and in his case, interesting cars, right? And you get patents for that. But sometimes they wind up abusing those patents in a way where people lose their lives, especially in the pharmaceutical case, because they don't have access to those drugs at reasonable rates. We're not saying you give them away, of course not, right? And here he's saying, oftentimes these patents are overrated anyway. Okay, let's get to actually doing innovation instead of going to court and fighting over patents. He continues, given that the annual new vehicle production is approaching 100 million per year and the global fleet is approximately 2 billion cars, it's impossible for Tesla to build electric cars fast enough to address the carbon crisis. By the same token, it means that market is enormous. Our true competition is not the small trickle of non-Tesla electric cars being produced, but rather the enormous flood of gasoline cars pouring out of the world's factories every day. And finally, he concludes by saying, we believe that applying the open source philosophy to our patents will strengthen rather than diminish Tesla's position in this regard. So it's good for Tesla, good for the country, good for the world. Hey, if you could actually pull that off, more power to you. And so he announced that recently, and what happened just this week? 2 new companies saying, hey, you know what? We might just take you up on that offer. Here's Nissan spokesperson saying, we welcome others joining in the effort as we believe universally compatible charging will further accelerate electric vehicle adoption. So the battle is joined, but this is a good battle, a battle to produce more electric cars and get us to the right place. And then BMW also joins, and they say they have had talks with Tesla on how to further strengthen the development of electromobility on an international level. So up and at 'em, there we go. All of a sudden, it's not just Tesla anymore. Here comes Nissan, here comes BMW, and this is a race we can all get behind. What I love is when people do the right thing, and by the way, profit off of it, great, okay, and make the world a little better. So more power to all of them.